Galaxy S25 series is here, and guess what? Samsung has completely revamped the phones. They look nothing like you've ever seen before. Just kidding. They look exactly the same as they have for previous years. But that doesn't mean that Samsung hasn't changed anything. It just hasn't changed the things that you might have wanted it to change. Samsung has refined the designs of the Galaxy S25 series while also bringing over a bunch of new software and AI-based features, which are all great to see. However, Samsung also has neglected to update a lot of the things that Samsung fans have wanted them to update for a very, very long time. This leaves the phones feeling both fresh and stale at the same time. Let's start with what's fresh. Quite possibly the best news related to the Galaxy S25 series is that every single phone in the family has a Snapdragon 8 Elite processor. That means no concerns for any phones having an Exynos processor because they simply don't exist. Along with this brand new processor, you also get 12 gigabytes of RAM across the board, even for the vanilla Galaxy S25. This is great because in the previous years, if you wanted that smaller phone, you had to deal with less RAM. The Galaxy S25 Ultra also gets a very significant camera hardware upgrade with a brand new 50 megapixel ultra-wide lens. Allegedly, this is going to make it so that even your macro shots on the Galaxy S25 Ultra will be better than any Ultra phone you've seen before it. Because Samsung has refined the designs of the Galaxy S25 series, every phone is actually thinner and lighter than the previous model. That's really great to see, especially for that Galaxy S25 Ultra, which has always been a beast in your hand. One of my personal favorite new design changes for the Galaxy S25 Ultra is the corners of the phone, which finally are rounded. That means there's no more sharp, jagged sides sticking into your palm when you're using the phone one-handed. Even with all these refinements, Samsung was actually able to make the screen a little bit bigger in the Galaxy S25 Ultra, going from 6.8 inches to 6.9 inches. This is notable considering the overall footprint of the phone hasn't been upgraded. We also see the introduction of Gorilla Glass Armor 2 on the Galaxy S25 Ultra. Gorilla Glass Armor was one of the best things about the Galaxy S24 Ultra with its anti-glare display and ultra-strong construction. So the Galaxy S25 Ultra now has an upgraded version of this glass, which is better at being anti-reflective and is allegedly even stronger than before. All three phones also have brand new vapor chambers, which will help keep them cool under heavy load. This is going to result in better performance over longer periods of time. Those are all the major hardware differences with the Galaxy S25 series, but of course we need to talk about Galaxy AI, which is going to be Samsung's major focus for this launch. So the big news here is that Gemini is now the default assistant across all Galaxy S25 phones. Samsung's hope is to make the AI baked into the Galaxy S25 series incredibly conversational, meaning that you can talk to it just like you would talk to anyone else and get what you need done without having to use proper syntax. AI is also going to work within Samsung apps. Samsung showed us an example of the Photos app. So you could ask the Photos app, hey, I would like to see photos from my trip to that vineyard in France. It will know what you're talking about and bring up all the photos of you visiting that vineyard in France. The AI within the phone is also going to monitor your actions and make suggestions of things that could make your life easier. For example, if you turn dark mode on at night and then turn dark mode off during the day, if you do that enough, the AI will actually suggest that it turn on a routine for you that will do that automatically. This is going to make everyone's life a lot easier, especially for people who don't quite understand how the routine system on Samsung phones actually works. Your video experiences on the Galaxy phones are also going to be a lot better thanks to AI. There's a new Pro Scaler feature which is going to use AI to make something that was shot at a lower definition appear to be in a higher definition. If you already own a Samsung TV, you're pretty familiar with this, as the Pro Scaler feature started on Samsung TVs but is now coming to the Galaxy series. Those of you who like to shoot video on your smartphones will be happy to know that there's a new feature called Galaxy Log. If you're not familiar with Log, then this probably doesn't matter for you, but if you are, then you can get excited because this is going to give you greater flexibility when it comes comes to color grading your footage in post-production. Samsung's also going to be offering a bunch of exclusive LUTs to make it even easier for you. It is unclear how many of these AI features are going to make it to older Samsung Galaxy phones, but we'd expect a lot of them to do so because there isn't many hardware requirements needed for a lot of these features. But we'll have to wait and see how many make it to older Galaxy phones. And while all these features are really cool, we still have to talk about the things that make these phones feel stale, the things that Samsung hasn't updated and in a few cases even actively made worse. But before we get into that, I want to show you some cool Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra cases from this video's sponsor. You just spent over $1,000 on a Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, so you better give it the best protection you can get. Might I recommend the SUPCASE Unicorn Beetle Pro. This is one of the toughest, most all-encompassing cases I've ever seen for any phone. It's made of shock-absorbing TPU and rigid polycarbonate and completely covers your phone, including the front. This two-part setup gives you a protective seal that will protect your phone through almost anything. The UB Pro will also come with two front frames, giving you the option to enjoy coverage with or without a built-in screen protector. Even though your phone is fully covered up, you still have access to all the functions you would expect, including the S Pen slot. There are also clicky buttons, textured edges for an enhanced grip, and a port cover to keep out dust. And all that protection doesn't prevent you from wirelessly charging your phone either. For when you're on the go, the case comes with a rotating belt clip holster, and the case itself has a kickstand with 3 unique viewing angles that also doubles as a ring holder. For a limited time, our viewers can get 15% off the SUPCASE Unicorn Beetle Pro with the code you see on the screen and in this video's description. Act fast. Okay, so let's talk about what feels stale with the Galaxy S25 series. First, the design is very much a rehash of what we've seen for the past maybe 4 years from Samsung. Granted, it made a couple of minor changes here, like the ones I talked about earlier, but also it added this very thick bezel around the cameras. It's supposed to make it look a lot more like the Galaxy Z Fold 6 camera design, which is cool, I suppose, but doesn't really mean anything. And then you have the overall looks of the phones, which haven't changed at all. You've got the 3 camera lenses in the upper left corner for the Galaxy S25 and the S25 Plus, and then you have the same camera array that we've seen on previous Galaxy S Ultra models on the Galaxy S25 Ultra. So really, Samsung's just sort of slightly changed things, but left the majority of things the same. Although it was great to see the Galaxy S25 Ultra get a brand new ultra-wide lens, the cameras on the other 2 phones in the family haven't changed meaningfully at all. That means we are once again in another year where the Galaxy S25 and the 25 Plus don't see any new camera hardware. This is very disappointing as these cameras have been long overdue for an upgrade, but Samsung, for whatever reason, has neglected to do so. In the weeks and months leading up to the launch of the Galaxy S25 series, we also heard a bunch of rumors about possible upgrades to both wired and wireless charging speeds, which have not been changed in a very, very long time. Unfortunately, I can confirm that there are no upgrades here either. We have the same exact speeds as we saw on previous phones. This is pretty disappointing, especially when you consider a lot of other competitor phones are pushing the very limits of how fast a phone can charge in both wired and wireless states. So Samsung is once again going to be way behind the curve here. Battery capacities are also the same this year. This is especially confusing when you know that Samsung competitors like OnePlus and Xiaomi are pushing way past the 6,000 milliamp hour battery capacity. So why can't Samsung do that? Instead, we're stuck once again with the Galaxy S25 Ultra at a limit of 5,000 milliamp hours, which is the same as every single Ultra phone before it. Quite possibly the most curious change that Samsung made this year is regressing the S Pen. The S Pen in the Galaxy S25 Ultra does not have Bluetooth support, which is probably the first time that an S Pen has not had Bluetooth in, I don't know, at least 5 years or so. This means that certain things that you might expect your S Pen to do will not work on the Galaxy S25 Ultra, which includes air gestures and the ability to use the S Pen as a remote shutter button for the camera. Granted, there are other things that you can do to duplicate these things, but it is kind of strange that Samsung took this feature away after being so committed to it for so many years. Even some of the AI features that Samsung has announced today are just rehashes of things that we've already seen before. For example, Samsung's new audio eraser tool for video is just a rehash of Google's Audio Magic Eraser on Pixels. It does exactly the same thing. The new AI Select tool, Samsung is making a big deal about, but it's basically just a rehash of the Smart Select tool that we've already seen on Samsung phones before. And Samsung's new Best Face feature is just a rehash of Google's Best Take feature, which allows you to have a bunch of photos that you've taken of a group and have AI stitch together a perfect photo where everyone has their best facial features. With the Galaxy S25 Ultra phones looking the same as they have in previous years, not featuring a lot of the upgrades that Samsung fans want, and having some AI features that we've seen before, it's hard not to say that these phones feel a bit stale. The saving grace here though is that pricing stays the same. If you were expecting these phones to be more expensive than they were last year, the good news is that that is not the case. Everything is exactly the same in the United States as it was in 2024. It's very possible that Samsung didn't introduce the hardware upgrades that we have wanted for many years because it knows it would need to increase the prices in order to do so. The Galaxy S25 and the Galaxy S25 Plus in particular would probably have to go up by about $100 each if they were to get the bigger batteries, faster charging, and better camera hardware that we've been wanting since, I don't know, 3 years ago. Instead, Samsung has decided to offer a bunch of other types of upgrades that aren't as expensive as those hardware upgrades and keep the pricing the same. That's good, but also just a little bit disappointing. But why don't you tell me what you think? Are you happy with the fact that these phones remain the same price, even if it means you don't get those hardware upgrades that you've been wanting? Or would you rather Samsung have instituted those hardware upgrades, even if it meant increasing the prices of the phone by a little bit? Let me know your opinions in the comments, and in the meantime, I will see you in the next video.